Thanks for tuning in to the Football Talk Squadron. I'm Dutch.
And I'm Maul.
And welcome back to our Week 6 of NFL action. We'll get into the games here in a minute. As you guys can tell who are watching, we've got the NFL Jeopardy trivia board up. Maul went 0 for 5 in fantasy football last time, much like his fantasy football record.
I didn't know I had to study.
So we got 4 other categories up. We got NFL rookies, Super Bowl history, NFL records, and NFL draft. What you want to go with?
I'm not good with any of these. Let's go. Let's go NFL draft.
NFL draft, starting at the $100 question. Who is the last Heisman winner to be drafted first overall?
Cam Ward. No. He didn't win the Heisman. That was Travis Hunter. God, that was a terrible start. Okay, Heisman winner to be drafted first overall. Sorry, let me. Let's see. It was. Is it the same year? Doesn't have to be the same year.
Yeah.
Like the year he won the Heisman?
No, just the last Heisman winner to be drafted first overall.
Caleb Williams.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was.
Well, I wanted because he didn't win the Heisman that year is what I was asking.
I get it. I get what you're asking.
All right.
All right. 200. Who is the last player, not a quarterback, drafted first overall in the NFL draft?
The first one that comes to my mind is Mario Williams when he got drafted before Reggie Bush. But I'm trying
way
to think,
sooner than that.
I was going to say, I think there's been ones more frequent than that. So let me try to go through the years because I feel like it has been just quarterback after quarterback.
It's within the last 5. I'll even give you it if you can just tell me the team that took him.
See, I told you I'm not good with any of these. Let's see. Titans. Wasn't the Eagles. Was it the Texans?
It's not the Texans. Yeah, this is Trayvon Walker with the Jags. This was the year before Caleb Williams.
Yeah. See, unremarkable.
300. Who is the highest drafted running back in the last 10 years?
Running back in the last
They are an active
10 years.
They are an active player. That's
so
your
we're looking back at 2015 and sooner. Todd Gurley.
It's not Todd Gurley. I said active player. He's still active.
Still active.
Gurley's knee went out 6 years ago.
Saquon.
My man. Look at that. Saquon Barkley. He was second overall in 2018. I think a lot of people honestly would have said Zeke on that because I think that people forget that Saquon was taken that high.
Yeah. I think, and you've talked about this, is like the hero RB is going to start making a comeback when it comes to like how people start drafting and how contracts are written and how the position of running back. We went through this swing of like everybody was doing running back by committee. Everybody thought like running back by committee was the thing to do. And don't get me wrong, it works in certain situations, but like the Eagles have kind of proven that like you don't need that. Like we've seen multiple instances through history where like having that one guy that's like your every down back, your Christian McCaffrey, your Saquon, your LaShawn McCoy, like that makes your team better.
I mean, even look at the NFL right now. When you think of playoff teams, you can go the Packers with Josh Jacobs, the Ravens with Derrick Henry. And then you think about teams that are playoff teams but are struggling, and you go, man, the Chiefs are really struggling at the position of running back. Like Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt.
We'll get it. Well, as I say, we're going to get into it, but like that's the Chiefs don't look like a terrible football team, but they cannot run the ball.
Yeah. All right. NFL draft for 400. Who is the most recent Heisman winner to be drafted outside of the top 10?
Devontae Smith.
He is top 10.
I don't know where he was drafted. He was top 10.
Yep. You ready for this one?
Lamar
Jackson.
Yeah.
Right at the end of the first round.
Yep.
The Ravens snuck back in and grabbed him. All right, $500 one. Who is the last wide receiver taken number 1 in the NFL draft? And if you don't get this, I will punch you through this screen. We have talked about this so many times. It's your team, dog. It's your college team.
Keyshawn.
Thank you. Keyshawn Johnson. 1996 was the last time, and of course it had to be to the Jets. Was the last time that a wide receiver went first off the board. So pretty good job on that one. That was a lot better than fantasy. I know a lot of Heisman questions, even though Pop's got some, he just went through the Heisman category yesterday on the college football episode, of which one of the ones was that I thought was interesting. Who's the last, give you, I think, the tougher one of his questions. Who's the last Heisman winner to not be drafted in the first round? Active player. He's been playing phenomenal in the NFL for a while. He's on his second team.
Heisman winner wasn't drafted in the first round. And he's on his second team currently?
Yes.
I don't know.
Same year as Ezekiel Elliott. If that helps at all.
No, it doesn't. I'm trying to think of that year. I don't know who won the Heisman that year.
It's a running back.
What year was that?
That was the 2015 or 2015. Yeah, I think the 2015 NFL draft.
Derrick Henry?
It is Derrick Henry.
Wow.
Went in the second round to the Titans.
That's crazy.
There we go. Yeah, I know, dude.
It's how many teams passed on Derrick Henry?
The Cowboys are the prime example in that one, because what they could have done is the very next pick after Zeke was Jalen Ramsey. It was like you could have gotten a guy that's still playing the position on corner today at your cornerback and locked up that position. And in the second round, you could have just taken Derrick Henry. And you think about all the problems they had with Zeke, the money they spent, all the secondary and tertiary effects of that draft decision. That it's the reason the Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl since, which honestly, happy for, So a little hate goes a long way. And going into that week 6, Thursday night, Eagles, Giants. Eagles coming off their first loss against the Broncos, of which yet again in the second half, they managed to blow a lead. And this time it cost them, unlike last week with Baker and them tried to make a comeback, just couldn't get it done. Going against the Giants, who you had beating the Saints, and then the Saints, I really sort of humbled the Giants, which it didn't help that the Giants had 5 turnovers. The Giants, I think, were the better football team, but the turnovers killed them in the game. Philly goes to the Giants. Thoughts on the game?
Yeah.
Or either team.
I mean, kind of talk about all of it. Like the Eagles we've seen this from the Eagles, right? Like we have the recency bias of like they're this great NFC top talent, killed the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, but like remember that year even, and then the year prior, I remember we were questioning the Eagles. We were just like, they're not a second half team. Like, what's wrong with their secondary? Like, there was all this stuff about like they're clearly talented, but they just like couldn't get it together. And we're kind of seeing shades of that again, which I attribute to, we just talked about how the hero RB strategy is starting to work, or it's going to make a comeback, but like they're almost doing that too much. Like they're like the one team that refuses to throw the ball in the NFL. And I don't know if it's because they either don't have faith in Jalen, or that's just the plays they're calling, or their receivers are too shaded or jaded now to like run routes to get open. I don't know what the issue is. Like, I can't pinpoint it yet, but there's something amiss with the Eagles right now. And by shutting down their run game or not letting Jalen scramble on you, like Jalen's not beating you with his arm, right? Like it, and it's one of those where like it's easy to criticize, or it's easy to kind of get away with like, hey, we don't need to throw the ball because we're winning games, which is fine. But like the instant they stop winning games, everybody's just going to start jumping down their throat of like, what the heck is going on? And again, like they were still in it. It's not like they got blown out, but like there's just something about them in the second half that they just like take their foot off the gas and become very unproductive. Go ahead.
We're going to get to this point. You made a great, we were just, Maul didn't do well in bets last week, and we were both upset because I was mad because I had the Rams in the survivor poll, and then Kyron Williams fumbles on the 1 yard line to pretty much, they still took it to overtime, but that would have won them the game. And then Maul had $50 on the Rams, and that just didn't hit, which you would think, oh, Mac Jones, not a good week, coming back, Purdy going back on the injured, all these like different factors they lose. And then it's not rubbing in either one of our faces about the loss. It's more what we talked about afterwards, which was Maul brought up this great point by Orlowski, Dan Orlowski on ESPN. He had made this point years ago when Mac was playing with the Patriots, that he's like, look, this is not no one would succeed with the Patriots right now because it's not the right system. And he said at the time, which it's hilarious because I found the clip after Maul told me about it and sent it to the guys in the chat. He's like on Get Up with Rex Ryan and Greeny, and he's like, if you took Mac Jones and you put him on the Niners, he would be playing as good as Purdy. And Rex loses his mind. And this was years ago when Mac was still on the Patriots. And now we sit back and it's like, it was great because Orlowski tagged the post and like retweeted it, just being like, took notes, and seems like I was right. Yeah. I bring that up. One excellent point by Maul. It's something that I don't think, one of the things I was thinking about today when I wanted to bring up this point, how true that is. And then it's like one of those questions of like, so is every team a system, or what is that? I think what every team wants is they want like a Mahomes, they want a Josh Allen, they want a Joe Burrow that regardless of the system that they're put into is effective in any system. But then when you sit back and it's like, well, why do we sit back and we look at like Drake May and Bo Nix when they're coming out? We're like, dude, I don't know if this guy's going to succeed. It's like, well, they found the system that worked exceptionally well for them, much like Purdy does with the Niners. It's like Kyle Shanahan knows what type of guy he wants. He goes out and finds that type of guy, puts him in the correct system, and the guy flourishes. But then he leaves that system and he goes to a different team, and you're like, man, why does this guy not perform? And Maul said it before the game ever happened. I wish I had listened to him. He's like, watch. He's like, when Cooper Rush goes out and plays for the Ravens, you're about to watch them look absolutely awful. And what do we watch? Murder. From a Houston Texans team that sucks.
And this is the difference of like good coaches, bad coaches, good organizations, bad organizations. And it's not, you're right. Like everyone is a system, quarterback position, like whatever it is. But it's the difference of like, you build a system around Lamar Jackson, right? Like they did not have this system in place when Joe Flacco was their quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, so saying 100%. Someone's like a system quarterback, it's just a negative connotation. It's something analysts use to kind of prove their points, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like Kyle Shanahan's system is built so that any quarterback can come in and succeed. That's why he's a good coach. That's why they've gone to multiple Super Bowls. Like that's why they win the NFC, couple years in and out, right? Like that's a good coach in a good system. You can't fault Brock Purdy for flourishing in that system. However, you also don't necessarily need to pay that guy like he's Lamar Jackson, because again, like we've seen, they built a system around Lamar Jackson. So when you have a guy with completely different skill set than Lamar Jackson, of course the offense is going to struggle. It's not built for that. So,
I said all that to bring it to this point, which is the Eagles this season are on a new offensive coordinator. And I think the answer to why the Eagles are struggling has nothing to do with the players. It has everything to do with this dude is trying to implement his system, which is not the right system for what the Eagles are. And like last year, Kellen Moore wasn't calling a great season at front, but then the play calls changed, and it was like, let me implement the system that works best for the players that I have on the roster. And it flourished. And I'm not dogging the Eagles yet. Like I know last week I said, look, they're not playing good. They're looking a lot like the Chiefs from last year. They still have a ton of talent. It's not like they're old and they have players that are on the verge of being washed. It's that they're not getting the system called correctly for that offense, which is what you were talking about. That in sense of, look, Jalen is not the guy that I want to be Herbert. I don't want him to drop back 50 times. Like I want him to run, and more importantly, I want Saquon to run, and that's what's not happening right now for the Eagles, and it's why they're still good enough talent wise to still be winning all these games. They're 4-1, but from a standpoint of why are they not super efficient, that's my theory on it.
Yeah, the Giants, and again, it made sense. We kind of talked about this with we knew who the Saints were. There was no surprises from the Saints. The Giants, they got young guys starting in key positions. They have had a few injuries. Like they're going to have good games, but they're also going to have some bad games. So not super surprised with the way it ended up. I did think the Giants, they have more talent than losing to the Saints proved. This is going to be a tough matchup for them though on a short week. Luckily they're at home, but it's not a far travel for Philly. Philly's going to take the game, or they should at least. But you never know on Thursday night games. People come out slow, and it's a in division rival, and those always get played tough as well.
I've got the Eagles. I think the only thing that would hurt the Eagles is if they do exactly what I said, which is try to drop Jalen back 50 times against this type of pass rush. Like you get the ball on the perimeter. That's how you beat a defensive line. Is you take them completely out of the play, and you say, "Yo, we're gonna put Saquon into the flat, throw it to him, and now he doesn't have to get past this line. He just has to make some corner who's not an athlete. Don't get me wrong, he'll beat me any day of the week, but he's not beating Saquon. Saquon's going to put him, in prison with some of the moves that he's going to do on him. Game up after that, NFL game in London, Broncos Jets. I saw another horrific stat from the Jets. I'm not sure if you saw it. The Jets are the first team to go 0-5 and have 0 turnovers in terms of defense not causing a single turnover. He's like the very first coach in NFL history that was not able to get a turnover in his first 5 games and started off 0-5. And to rub it all in, he's a defensive coach.
The Jets have been tricky for me this year. If you told me at the beginning of the year, hey, 5 weeks in, the Jets are going to be 0-5, I'd have been like, yeah, it's because the Jets suck. The Jets 0-5 right now, though, I don't think the Jets are the worst team in football by far, but they got the worst record in football, which is why there's like the confusion. I feel like the Jets have played some good football. That first week against Pittsburgh, fantastic. Justin Fields went out, and I'm not saying that Justin Fields is playing like this phenomenal, he's the linchpin of their offense, but like having him back is definitely going to help. They've played some good football games. They haven't won them because of some stupid mistakes, and it's still the Jets. But this is one of those where it's like I feel like they're just on the verge of breaking through. They're going to be like the Texans. Like they just need that slump buster to get them over that. Hey, we got one in the win column, and then I think they're going to surprise some people. I don't want to say they're going to upset the Broncos, but this could be one of those like it's international, so everybody's tired and thrown off. It's at different levels of, going from central, or not even central time, mountain time in Colorado to across the pond. It's only a 2-hour difference from New York, but like that may make a big difference from like a body clock standpoint. Because if you think about it, like the Broncos are going to be starting this game at like 7:30 body clock for them. So that could be significant. They're coming off of a high of just beating the Eagles, right? Like, and again, they may be looking ahead, going like, at least we're only playing the Jets. I'm not necessarily putting on upset alert, but like, don't be super shocked if this is a closer game than like the 7-point spread is showing. That being said, I do think the Broncos are playing really good football. Defense is doing well. Bo Nix is doing what he needs to do. Like they don't have a whole lot of gaps in their offense or defense. They're playing really good football.
I got the Broncos, same as you. The other thing about the Jets is what kills them is they're not disciplined. Like they have a ton of penalties that you just sit back and you go, and that's what's ultimately cost them against like the Steelers, even the Dolphins. Like the Dolphins initially, it was not a far stretch for them to win that game, but it was like every time they line up, it was like, here's a false start. Now you're already not a good football team, and then you put yourself into a 1st and 15 or a 1st and 20 with a hold, and it's like, dude, you killed this drive. Next game up, we got Colts Cardinals. Danny Dimes looking like Peyton Manning reborn. And then for the Cardinals, I wish that I could show the clip in its full entirety. I thought about it this morning. Remember Friday Night Lights when Tim McGraw just duct tapes that ball his kid's hands? That running back that threw that ball through the back of the end zone, we talked about it on the phone. I don't know when we're going to get to a stage in football that coaches are like, look, when you score, the ball doesn't leave your hands until you get on the opposite side of the goalpost. Like, period. I don't know how many games do we have to watch this happen for us to be like, and it killed him. Like that moment right there. Like I love those screenshots that they're like, hey, this moment right here, can you believe it? It's like the ball isn't out of his hands yet, and he's like, the Cardinals go on to lose this game.
Yeah. It was that one and the interception. It was like this one didn't lead to a Cardinals touchdown, and then it was like the picture of the Cardinals guy intercepting the ball, and it was like this one somehow led to a Titans touchdown. Like, talk about two ends of the spectrum from like a hope and optimism. Like the Colts are just like on the moon with how well they're playing, and Danny Dimes doing what he's doing, and like they're on top of the world leading their division, whereas the Cardinals are on the other end going like, what just happened? Like we are in absolute shambles, which I don't know if there's anything the NFL can do, or like contracts, or they can't penalize them. It's not a penalty, but like from a coach's standpoint, like don't play that guy. You can't necessarily cut him, right? Like that's what we always say, like, I'm cutting that dude. Yeah, you can't necessarily do that. That's not necessarily your call. But you know what you can do? Sit him on the bench. Sit him on the bench. Don't play him. Like Michael Carter gets 100% of the snaps. I don't care if his leg is broken. I'm not playing Imari DiMarcado for 2 games. Like or like sign someone from the practice squad and coach's decision, non-dress that dude. Like those are the things that the coaches can control. And it's one thing to like make a mistake in a game, or like, make a bad play. Like that stuff happens. These things though, like are inexcusable in my opinion. Like inexcusable from like you're a professional, and you can't just carry the ball across the goal line because you want to get some style points by flipping it, right as you like that. That makes no sense in my opinion. And from a coach's standpoint, you just sit him. You just don't play him. Because
I know this seems
if he was that good, I mean, let's be honest, he's the backup third string guy anyway, right? So like, if he was that good where you thought you couldn't play him, he would already be your number one guy. But he's a third string guy. You're not losing anything by sitting that guy.
I get it. You were talking about inexcusable things. For me, I know that these are like two separate things because one's a football thing and the other is like a personal, like how you carry yourself. This is the equivalent of spitting on the opposing quarterback before the game even starts. Like Jalen Carter, it was like
Yep.
both things have no place like on the field. And I get they're both on these like wild different spectrums, but at the end of the day, it's like they both had the same consequence. It's like you cost your team dearly for something that was totally within your control. And I get what you're saying, like from a Derrick Henry perspective. Yes, hold on to the football. But both of his, it wasn't like he's showboating. It's just, dude, the ball got knocked out.
Part of the game.
Yes, 100%.
Being selfish and idiotic is not part of the game. Unfortunately, it's almost become that way as of late, but it doesn't need to be.
Yeah. That being said, Danny Dimes is continuing his MVP Peyton Manning tour, and the Cardinals are going down this week. Next up, you got the battling 2 straight losses from the Chargers against teams that I get the Commanders having Daniels back, you're a better team, but then they come off a loss from the Giants to go lose to the Commanders against the 1-4 Dolphins. Chargers right now -3.5. What are your vibes on the team?
I mean, the fact that Mike McDaniel still has a job is surprising, honestly, because for them to come back on like that by the Panthers and lose is wild to me. They're not playing good football. Losing Tyreek Hill obviously shows that it hurts. The Chargers lost Omari and Hampton. That hurts as well. That's like a big piece for them running the ball. And they don't even have Najee as like a backup because he's gone too. So they're signing guys off the practice squad to literally fill their roster. I don't know the news as of late, but like as of yesterday, they literally only had one active running back on their roster. So that's going to hurt, especially because we know Harbaugh likes to run the ball. And that's kind of how they build their offense around Justin Herbert throwing so well. So that one's going to be tricky. As always, it's in South Florida, so Miami has an advantage there, or at least, not the disadvantage of them playing away from home. I think the Chargers are a better team, and they should get the victory, but the fact that it's as close as it is doesn't surprise me just because the Chargers have shown weakness as of late.
Yeah. The Chargers will figure it out. They still have a great squad. The more disappointing thing was the penalty that cost them that Ladidi punt return, as I am going to now refer to him as. Probably the most. It's sad because it didn't count because it was one of the more disrespectful hurdles I've ever seen in NFL history when he hurdled that punter. And it was just like everything about it was pure, like I loved every second of it. And then I saw the flag and I was like, guys, you can't hit the putter. Like Ladidi's out there making these plays, like settle down, white chocolate. And then it gets brought back. It just shouldn't have happened. So I hope he gets another opportunity to return one back. Next game up, Patriots Saints. Patriots coming off the huge win in Buffalo. Saints coming off their first win against the Giants. They're going to New Orleans. We sort of talked about it earlier in terms of a system quarterback. It seems like Drake May has finally found the right system under Vrabel, and the team's actually playing pretty well under Vrabel as compared to last year under Mayo. Do you see the Patriots continuing the winning ways?
Yeah, mainly because they're playing the Saints. And this is kind of like what I was talking about with earlier when we were talking about the Giants. I'm like, we know what the Saints are. There's no surprises from the Saints at this point, unless they make a change at QB, which Spencer Rattler, I think, finally is starting to get a little more comfortable. So he's throwing the ball downfield a little more, but they're not running the ball super effectively. Even though Spencer Rattler's getting better, it's still not super great. Their defense isn't terrible, but again, it's not anything show-stopping. they're just a below average football team right now, and there's not a whole lot more to say, about that in any way. Like the Patriots, however, I think are playing good football. We probably still have a bad taste in our mouth from week 1 when they lost to the Raiders, but I think they've just gotten better each week. Drake May is really kind of coming into his own, and like you said, finally getting that system fitting around him. Him and Stephon Diggs are really starting to connect. If Ramondre Stevenson holds on to the ball, they're probably beating the Bills by more than they did, honestly. And I mean, the Bills didn't play a good game. Like, let's not super kid ourselves and come out and think like the Patriots dominated that game by any stretch. But again, the Bills are a fantastic team. So for the Patriots to go into Buffalo and get that win was huge for them, huge confidence boost. So hopefully they keep the fire going, which I think Variable is a good enough coach to kind of keep them focused and not have them sit back and go, well, we just beat Buffalo, we're going to handle New Orleans. I think he's a better coach than that. So yeah, and again, if you ask me what's more likely, like the Patriots winning back-to-back games or the Saints winning back-to-back games, that's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, I've got New England as well. The Saints have surprised me with as bad as I thought they were going to be this year. They are at least in every game this year. They've been competitive outside of the Seattle game, which you can't say about every team. I mean, they haven't gotten blanked by the Panthers 30-0 like the Falcons did.
I think it's their defense. I think their defense is playing better than most expect, or that they're getting credit for, because the offense has been pretty poor in the first like 3 games. And again, when you have a poor offense, it's hard for your defense to shine because you're on the field more. You know what I mean? Like, you get tired quicker. Like, all that stuff plays a part. So yeah, you're right. They've been competitive, and I think it's because of their defense.
Next game up, after the trade news yesterday, it is now Dylan Gabriel's show for the Cleveland Browns as they go to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. The Browns last week, I mean, they played, I thought Gabriel had a pretty good game against the Vikings defense that you said it about halfway through the game, like, yo, Brian Flores' defense is overrated this year. Like, I think we got this huge misconception when they absolutely throttled Cincinnati that they were this good defense, and we should have just realized, they were playing the Bengals. I get that from a standpoint of Myles Garrett should have a good game against Aaron Rodgers, a less mobile quarterback, but at the same time, I don't think that Cleveland's going to find a lot of success without Joe Flacco this year. So I've got Pittsburgh in the game.
I do too. I think they just need time. You're right. Like, Gabriel played fine. Nothing outstandingly awful. He definitely missed some throws, probably a little nerves, probably, he is a shorter guy. And I think that led to maybe a few overthrows for his first game. But again, they don't have a ton of weapons. Judkins is playing out of his mind, and
Yes.
their defense is actually doing really well. So there's definitely some hope there. There's some shining spots for the Browns. I think they're just going to need time, though, to kind of get it all together and continue to build some rapport on both sides of the ball. And I think the Steelers coming off a bye, playing really well, getting good football. Rodgers and Metcalf connection is just getting better and better. They're going into Pittsburgh. I think it's going to be a tough, tall ask for the Browns there.
In positive news for the Browns, I think they have one of the better 2 tight end guys in the league with Njoku and the rookie Harold Fanning from Bowling Green. Harold Fanning led all of FBS last year with catches for a tight end. So did it, and he showed he caught a touchdown pass. I mean, he looked really good out there. I mean, there's still better overall tight end packages. You got Kincaid and Knox up in Buffalo and stuff. But from a standpoint of they have 2 guys, I like you said, from an offensive standpoint, they have guys. Like, they got 2 good tight ends. You got Jerry Jeudy. I don't put Jerry Jeudy in that like number 1 wide receiver category. I think he's a great number 2 option. He's played very well with Cleveland. And then, like you said, with Judkins, The Browns need a lot more help offensively for them to really evaluate their quarterback position, which I don't think they're going to do this year. I think that by the end of the year, they'll probably be vying for a number one overall pick, and we'll see Cleveland do what they always do. They'll take another quarterback and add it to that jersey of misery.
You know what's going to happen, though, and this is, again, classic Cleveland. Gabriel's going to continue to probably play well and like okay. He's not going to like blow anybody's socks off, but like play well. But just because the Browns aren't like a complete football team yet, they're going to keep losing games, and then at some point they're going to switch to Shador, which is just going to like throw off all of the rapport and timing and all of that stuff that Gabriel has been building over these last few weeks, or like whatever, however long they allow him to start. And they're going to make the decision based off of the wins and loss columns, and it's going to end up being, again, the classic Browns downfall.
I've got to find this. I'm sure I don't think I sent you guys the meme, but since they're playing the Steelers, I have to pull it up real quick. I'm not going to be able to play it on here, but guys can go look at it. It was like the Cleveland Browns really saw this and decided they'd rather start Case Keenum, Nick Mullins, Jacoby Brissett, Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, Dorian Thomas-Robinson, P.J. Walker, Jameis Winston, Bailey Zappi, and Dylan Gabriel at quarterback. And it's Baker Mayfield taking off on a scramble against the Steelers and gets late hit out of bounds and like rolled up into his bench. And then he gets up in typical like Baker fashion, signals first down. It's like the same guy is now thriving with Tampa Bay, and it's like Cleveland had their guy. They found their quarterback. They had the number one pick. They made the right decision in the draft, and then they were like, "You're still not good enough for Cleveland," and they never like took a step back to be like, maybe OBJ's overrated when they brought him in. Maybe we have an older roster that's not highlighting how good Baker is, and now he's down at Tampa Bay tearing it up. So it's always a great sort of like making fun of the Cowboys. It's always great to make fun of the Browns and for their just stupidity when it comes to making decisions on football players. Sorry. Speaking of the Cowboys, Panthers. Rico Dow, as I said, looked like the second coming of Adrian Peterson last week against the Dolphins. My man was running through everybody. He gets a great opportunity to go against his old team. Cowboys go to Carolina. Right now, Dallas is -3.5. Their defense played better last week, but their defense has been a huge problem. Do you think Rico Dow has the same type of success, or is this sort of setting up to be one of those like, yeah, this huge game and now it's time for a thud?
Yeah, I mean, history proves that it was probably a one-off, right? Like, it's not like Rico Dowdle came out of nowhere. Like, we've seen Rico Dowdle before. He was on the Cowboys for a couple years, and he was one of those always that like he looked better as a backup, but then anytime it was like his show, he just like never could really do anything with it. So I don't know. I don't see it repeating. You have that revenge game narrative always kind of playing in the background there. I think the Cowboys are getting better on both sides of the ball, so they are definitely a better football team. But I mean, somehow the Panthers have 2 wins this year, and like that blows my mind. Blows my mind.
And one of them was through a shutout, a 30-0.
Yeah, I mean, I'm shocked.
I'm not shocked about them beating the Dolphins just because the Dolphins are a bad team, but the Falcons won. The biggest thing I can say about
the way they beat the Dolphins, though, because it's not like they were like they were doing terrible. The Dolphins had terrible. Yeah, so yeah. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, blame McDaniels. That's what I'm gonna do.
Easy.
Next game, who would have thought going into week 6 I'd be sitting here being like, yo, I think the game of the week is Seattle going to Jacksonville. Because the Jags did what we all hoped they would, which was beat Kansas City. Trevor Lawrence, I'm going to let you run with that final play because you said that was a summation of Trevor Lawrence at his finest. But I'll let you take it from here and go with that.
Listen, I feel like it's been well noted now for like 2.5 years of I'm not a Trevor Lawrence fan. I think he's just been overrated since he got into the league. He's not, I don't want to say he's terrible. I've always said he's mid right now, which again, that carries this negative connotation. But that's not to say that he's bad. He's clearly talented. He's just never lived up to the expectation. I will say though, this is classic Trevor Lawrence of he has just a few games of people going, "Oh, look how good this dude is." Like Pops even said it during the game. He was just like, "Yo, Trevor Lawrence looks pretty good." Yeah, this is what he does. He'll have a few games like this where you're like, "Yo, this is the guy we drafted." And then for the rest of the year be terrible, but you have these like 3 games in your brain where you're like, I know what he can do, he's just not doing it. So I say the verdict is still out. Yes, he did look better than he has played of late in the Kansas City game. He showed up when he needed to show up. It wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, they were pointing it out during the game. He was missing some layups of like guys open that he wasn't hitting or missing throws. But they got the victory. Good for them. Him falling down on that last play looking like a newborn baby deer and not being able to like get up at all was hilarious. And again, if that's the way they lost, I think that would have been like the dagger for people for Trevor Lawrence. But the fact that he got up and ran it in, great. Good for them. Love to see that. It didn't help that Chris Jones essentially took the play off in the middle of the field. It's one thing if you take the play off because you're tired, but you go to the sideline and get subbed. But my man just said, nah, can't move with all this money in my pocket. And
My man stood there like a fan, which was better than Albert Hainsworth on the play where he just laid there the whole time.
Which, I mean, if Chris Jones would have rushed at all, he probably is able to touch Trevor Lawrence on the ground. You know what I mean? Because, like, they were kind of getting to him enough that like he was having to move around in the pocket. And when he fell on the ground, tried to get up and fell again, it was like, how are they not touching him? Oh, that's because Chris Jones isn't playing the football anymore. So good for them. Their defense looks fantastic. The back end of that defense is really good, really good. And you called it, I think last week prior, you had said that. I didn't truly believe you because I hadn't been paying attention. The stats were all there, but I hadn't seen it. But they looked fantastic. So good for them.
Their defense is the reason they won the game with that pick six.
And I will say, if there's one flaw to the Seahawks, which is why they lost to Tampa, is they're a little prone to turnovers. They have, and some of them are unlucky, but you know what? Like it's still part of the game. And if they turn the ball over, which Jacksonville is, I think, leading the league in turnovers, it's going to be a great game. I'm excited to see it. This will probably be the 50-50. Which one you pick is going to win you the pick 'em here.
Yeah, I picked Jacksonville just because of the defense, and I've seen Sam Darnold before against a better defense struggle. And I don't think Tampa Bay is great, but as of right now, I would argue Jacksonville's got the hottest defense, at least in the league right now. Next up, who would have thought we'd be sitting here going, the Ravens are 1-4. It got demolished by the Houston Texans, who we thought was written off.
You mean both of our Super Bowl champ picks? Yeah. That should have been your clue.
Hey, at least you didn't pick Clemson to win the national championship. So you got that running for you. Going against the Rams, I'm going to throw this in right now from our buddy Slam on this week's segment of rank these. No way that happens this season moments. You got 0-4 UCLA upsets Penn State. Miami is sadly the number 2 team in the country, arguably number 1. Texas is unranked. The best game of the year is Bucks Seattle. Baltimore's 1-4. Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones are 2 of the hottest QBs in the league. Mark Sanchez beats up an elderly man, and Drake May leads the Patriots to an upset of the 4-0 Bills. I'm going to go with Sanchez about to pull another butt fumble in prison for 800, Alex.
Yikes.
I had to throw that out there. He sent me that text, and man of my word, I wanted to pull it up. But you said it in terms of we were talking about games going into this because you were talking about picking up Stafford in fantasy. Stafford's been playing fantastic, and against this Ravens defense, I don't see the Ravens. This game's going to probably be worse, or it should be, than the Texans game.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of already talked about the Ravens as far as offensively, why they're struggling. They don't have Lamar Jackson. It just, you can't overcome something like that. There's been talk of maybe not having Cooper Rush as the QB. They might go to Huntley, I think, is still on the squad there, but
Would be a better option.
their defense is just, I mean, the laundry list of injuries they have on that defense is obviously playing a huge factor. So they're in a tough spot, and the Rams are a fantastic team. So I can see this one getting ugly quickly.
The Ravens are in this like real precarious position because, no joke, you keep losing games. The Ravens are going to be having sort of like the Bengals last year. They're going to have to scratch and win every single game there in the stretch to even make the playoffs as a wild card team. Like,
it's going to really just depend on what the Steelers are doing. If the Steelers go, I mean, because the Steelers are probably going to go 500, and that's probably going to win the division. So I will say the thing they have going for them is that their division is not strong this year. Even though we thought it was going to be one of the strongest, the Browns, they can't get wins. They're not a super great football team. The Bengals look awful without Joe Burrow, which who knows what Joe Flacco does, but behind that offensive line, again, I go, if Joe Burrow can't do it, what makes you think Joe Flacco's going to do it? So they're not a good football team. And then the Steelers love to go 500. So, like, yes, they are in a very precarious spot of like they need to start getting some wins in a hurry. Otherwise, it's going to start mathematically getting out of reach for them. But if there is one thing going for them, it's that if they don't have to get a ton of wins, they probably just have to get to like 500, and they should be all right.
yeah. That being said, they're going to go 1-5 after this week. So, the trickiest game to pick, in my opinion, you've got the Titans, who really going into that fumble by the Cardinals were losing 21-6. And it took a lot. It took an interception that the dude fumbles, that the Cardinals player bats into his own end zone for a touchdown to really help the Titans come all the way back. Playing the Raiders, who, dude, I saw this thing today. Let me see if I can find it again, because it was sort of horrific looking at from a standpoint of all the different ways the Raiders have hurt themselves in the long run. While I look for that, who do you got in this game and why?
The Raiders, simply because we've seen them play good football. They played good football against the Patriots. It was kind of a shocker. I think they played good football against the Commanders. I think they played good football against the Bears. Was the Bears the game that Genty had like 200 yards or something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, they've played good. They've had, I don't say like as a whole, but they've shown stretches or little snippets of good football. I haven't seen any good football from the Titans at all year. Even in their win, they got lucky because the Cardinals handed them it on a silver platter. Like, the Titans are not playing good football, and they're not going to continue to win games by teams having a fumble after an 80-yard run and an interception that somehow turns into a touchdown for you. Like that, this week was a very weird week when it came down to like how games finished and like the ultimate outcomes of games. There was probably 6 or 7 different instances like that of, I mean, they kept talking about it on Monday night, like 6 or 7 double-digit leads getting overcome and swung the other way in wins. I don't want to say that's like impossible, but like that doesn't happen very often. So yes, the Titans got their win against the Cardinals, but like there was not at any point in that game was I like, man, the Titans are really surprising the Cardinals. Like that's not what it was. That was just a clear, the Cardinals gave them that game. So I think the Raiders are a better football team and they should win.
That's who I got. Next game up, Bengals Packers. I'll summarize the game with the meme I sent you guys earlier. It's a picture of Joe Flacco, and it says, putting 40-year-old Joe Flacco behind that offensive line is full-blown elder abuse. That being said, the last time the Packers faced Joe Flacco, I get it was against a totally different defense than the Cleveland Browns. Joe Flacco beat the Packers. Now, it was self-induced. Jordan Love throws a pick with 3 minutes to go on their own 20-yard line, sets up Cleveland to tie the game to take it into overtime, of which Cleveland ends up winning. How do you see the game going this time around?
I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise. I think the Packers should show up. They're coming off their bye. They should dominate on the defensive side of the ball because the Bengals offensive line is so terrible. They might put up some points. Like Joe Flacco might be able to get the ball to the weapons, because I mean we know the Bengals have weapons. Like that's not been the issue there, but their defense is still terrible. So if the Packers just take care of the football, they should be able to run up the score on the Bengals. I don't think there's going to be any surprise here.
Yeah, I think that Joe Flacco is going to be able to put the ball in a better position to highlight Jamar Chase and Higgins. That being said, the reason Joe Flacco was able to win against the Packers last time is because he had Cleveland's defense.
Yes.
Cincy's defense is awful. If the Lions can beat them how they did and other teams can beat them like they did, Green Bay should have no problem throttling the Bengals, which right now Green Bay is a minus 14.5 point favorite.
That's
so that should tell you.
Crazy though. Crazy.
Crazy. I wouldn't even touch, like, I think Green Bay is going to win, but I wouldn't touch that spread because most times NFL teams don't win by more than 2 touchdowns.
I don't have the stat on me, but I feel like there's probably only been 4 or 5 double-digit favorites this year, and I'm pretty sure none of them have covered. I don't know that for a fact. I'll try to look it up after or whatever, but that might be something you want to look into just from like there hasn't been a ton, because it's a big number in the NFL, and I feel like there's only been a few this year. But I'm pretty sure every one of those, like the games have been closer or even up, like straight up upsets.
I never even thought to look at that, and that's a great. I will go do that post this episode, figure out what we find. I'll let everybody know if it's good next episode. Next game up, Niners Bucks. You got Mac Jones again going down to Tampa Bay against Baker. Tampa Bay's right now minus 2.5 points. I saw, just because of the throwback unis for the Bucks in Seattle, I do want to bring it up. I saw someone tweet this and I was like, that honestly is probably one of the best tweets I've seen in a long time. I know this isn't a Thursday night game. Every Thursday night game should be throwback uniform matchup because that Bucks Seattle uniform was pure perfection on the field.
They've been doing like color rush things on Thursdays too, which I don't hate. I like all the different alternates. But yeah, I agree with you. It's hard to combat those two unis.
Who you got, Niners Bucks?
I'm taking the Bucks. I said this last week, and then I didn't even pick them in the actual pick 'em. You had convinced me. This is like Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs right now. Like, until Baker proves otherwise, that he's not the absolute dog that he is, and is going to fight and claw to keep himself in games and come back and win, can't take anybody but the Bucks. Like, he has proven week in, week out. Now they're all close games, but like, he's proven that he is going to do whatever it takes against whatever team to keep his team in a winning position, and he's doing it.
Yeah, but I've got Baker. I'm not even a Tampa Bay fan, but I'm telling you right now, I told my wife, if there's one jersey that I want right now, it's that creamsicle Mayfield jersey. Yeah. That jersey's sick. I love it. I'd love that jersey. Huge game. I know, not from a record wise. This game always, it's one of those games you look forward to. Sunday night, Lions at Chiefs. Crazy thing. Chiefs favorite by Vegas, minus 2.5.
Yeah,
I get the Chiefs have played better, but
yeah, I don't know where that's coming from. If we're missing something, or there's some type of injury or something that we're not seeing or unaware to some information, but that's a wild spread to me. That's crazy. After they just lost to the Jags, like, why?
The only reason I can sit back and think of it is because Detroit's secondary still can't go 3 down straight without getting a flag. Like, they hold all the time. And maybe Vegas is like the NFL ain't letting them lose this many games this year. The refs are in the back pocket. Who knows? I don't know. That's the only thing that I can sit back. The problem is for the Chiefs, I want to bring this up since we talked about earlier. If you want to talk about where the start of the fall of the Chiefs occurred, it was when they re-signed Chris Jones. Now I get that year they won the Super Bowl, but there was such a hesitation to sign him, and I believe it was 100% because of what's going on right now. They knew that this guy was sort of at his peak, and they were like, we're not far off from him going downhill. We don't think he's worth this money.
Dude,
and then they lost to the Lions and paid him. They did win the Super Bowl, but since then you signed him to this big deal, and you got the effort that you got Sunday night or Monday night.
Like the only time you heard his name was when Troy Aikman was like, "Where's Chris Jones been all game?" Like he's not doing anything. He's making zero impact. And this is not like a Micah Parsons, TJ Watt, where like he's not getting the stats, but he's affecting the offensive line enough so that other guys can make like Chris Jones is not doing that. He's not this decoy guy that they're like double, triple teaming and it's allowing other guys to get tackled. He's just not doing anything. The defense has, although the scheme is still there with Spags, they're doing great things. Some of the chess pieces have moved away and there's some gaps. It's exploitable. And then we've talked about offensively, they're kind of old. They don't have all the same peps in their step and they can't run the ball. Like Patrick Mahomes is having to drop back 45, 50 times a game because they can't get a good run game going. And don't get me wrong, Tyquan Thornton's coming into his own. He's becoming a good downfield threat. Xavier Worthy is obviously a great downfield threat, and Hollywood Brown is a great downfield threat. But like just downfield threats isn't what you need. You need levels to it. And Kelsey has always been that like unguardable chess piece where it didn't matter where everybody else was, he would always find these zones, and he's still doing some of that, but he's not the Travis Kelce of old where he's taking over games, and it's apparent. I think getting back Rashee Rice will really help them, give them like another option in that offense, but they got to do something about running the ball. Their pass blocking is phenomenal. Mahomes has all the time in the world, but when it comes to run blocking, they're just not getting it done.
Yeah. The game itself, I sit back and look at it from the inability to run the ball, and then when you look on the opposite side, outside of that first game, dude, Detroit's offense is just fire. Like it's still gas.
Give me the over in the game. The line feels trappy at 2.5.
52.5.
Or 52.5. Give me the over in that game. I mean, I could see it being like 52 to 55 at the end of the, so like give me the over there.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna take the Lions. As much as I dogged them week one, if I'm just looking at how have teams performed this season since week one, the Chiefs have struggled. The Lions have been on an absolute tear. Giving the Lions continue that. I like what Dan Campbell does. That's my vote for the Sunday night game. Then Monday night, we got two games. If you find me at the Bills-Falcons one, I'll hook you up with a free hoodie. I'll be there. Bills going to Atlanta for all of the 25 people that listen. Who knows? Maybe we'll have pop. Someone wants a free hoodie. Buffalo's -4.5, and then the other Monday night game, Bears going to Commanders. And the last time they were there, Stevenson decided he would taunt the crowd instead of being prepared for the Hail Mary. We know how that ended up. Pops ended up losing a brand new 55-inch TV through a remote. That's a joke, but somewhat believable. Bills-Falcons. Can the Bills bounce back against the Falcons, who are coming off a bye?
Yeah, this is one of those like I talked about earlier. Like, what do I think's more likely? The Bills losing back-to-back games? Like, I don't see it. They've shown in the last couple games though, because they played Miami the week prior, right, on Thursday night.
New Orleans. They played Miami, then they played New Orleans, and both of those games they didn't look hot.
Yeah, they've struggled a little bit. They haven't looked like this unbeatable team. So there's definitely some holes there. The Falcons coming off a bye, they should have done all kinds of film study of what's making the Bills look weak, and trying to take advantage of that. But again, I don't have faith in the Falcons to upset Buffalo.
You ready? If the Falcons did what you just said, which was watch what the Bills struggle against, then Bijan Robson's going to tote the rock 35 plus times because the Bills struggle against the run. They cannot get a good run defense, and that's been this the whole year. So if Bijan has a great game, it will be tight, and Josh Allen will have to will his way to win the game. But if the Falcons do what the Falcons normally do, which is whatever the offense should be, they tend to do the opposite. It's like we're going to have Penix drop back and throw it 45 times. Bills will murder them, and that's the Falcons are one of these like historic teams in terms of just terrible coached, like year in year out. I can go all the way back to Brett Favre. You know, they have him on the roster, and the head coach is just, "Hey, Mississippi, can you throw it up in the upper deck because you ain't making the field tonight?" Like
they're like the Cardinals to me, where it's like they seem to always just play to the level of competition. So they'll, but like can never quite come out on the winning end of it. So you're right. I mean, it might be a closer game than we expect, but they're probably going to figure out a way to screw something up, and Josh Allen's going to make a great play to win them the game or something.
Them Bears Commanders. The question I have for you going into this game, not to give Pops this false hope, I feel like we're like on this verge of possibly seeing like week by week the Bears offense has gotten better and better under Ben Johnson. And coming off a bye, I just sort of sit back and go, man, is this sort of the time that we start to see this offense really start to gel and come out and beat a Commanders team that I think is 100% beatable? Like, I think the Commanders were overranked coming into the season because they made the NFC Championship game last year, but it was really sort of I don't want to say a fluke, but like they weren't this like super dominant team all year. They just sort of got lucky and got into the playoffs. They had some wins against the Bears, like of a Hail Mary and other games that helped them get into the playoffs and sneak in. What's your thoughts on the Bears and sort of offense going from here?
Yeah, I mean, echo what you said. The Bears have looked better and better. That right tackle, they got to do something about that right. I don't know if he's playing or not, but he's been a liability for them for sure. The Commanders, again, I agree, probably a little overrated from last year, just like on an outcome standpoint. They've been tricky to get a good judge on because of Jaden Daniels' injury and all that. Terry McLaurin's injury, Austin Eckler's injury. Like they've had some weird holes in their team that has made it difficult to know kind of what they are supposed to look like. Jaden Daniels came back last week. They did look pretty good. Yeah, they are a beatable team for sure. And this would be a big victory for the Bears, especially since what were the Bears when they played it? Were they 4-1 or 4-2 when they played the Commanders? It was like the same time last year, and they were looking really good, and then lost to the Commanders, and then that was like the downfall for their season. Then I think they won maybe 1 or 2 games after that for the rest of the season. That would be a good turnaround, or like a, hey, if we can beat them this time, maybe we can have the upward trajectory to this season. But go ahead. What's the stat?
Do you have a great memory? So funny enough, the Bears were coming off a bye, just like they did this week. The Bears were 4-2. They lost to Washington. They went on to lose, if you're ready for this, the next 9 straight games following, 10 straight, including the Washington. They did not win until the last week of the year against Green Bay.
I'm telling you,
it killed their season.
That Hail Mary was the dagger in the chest for them. Like it took their entire season down after that Hail Mary. So give me the Bears just from like they remember that. You know, I wish we had Pops on because he would have probably gone on a rant. Like I was just kind of recollecting it, but I guarantee you that's still stinging to Pops, and hopefully it's still stinging to the Bears, and they're able to, you know, get the victory this time and put their season on a new trajectory.
Yeah, I've got the Bears. they're the underdog in the team surprise in the game according to Vegas. I think that we're still overhyped on Washington. I think that they are old on that defensive front. And as of right now, from the standpoint of when you look at young talent on a roster, you have to be optimistic if you're a Bears fan.
Oh yeah,
You got Moore, you've got Aduze, and then another guy, Luther Burden, has made good plays. And he was a big guy. A lot of people thought he was going to be a first round pick coming out of Mizzou at the beginning of the college year. He's still a very good player. I think the only thing the Bears really have been trying to figure out is Swift just hasn't looked as dominant as he did in years past. But I think a lot of that is coming down to just it's a different offense and they're trying to throw the ball more with, under Ben Johnson with Caleb Williams. So I like the Bears from where they stand right now, and I like them in the game. But that wraps up week 6. You got any other final thoughts before heading out?
Nope.
All right. Well, make sure if you do go down a dark alley, you don't fight anyone that's getting into their own car that's not yours, and just go back to your hotel room and go to bed, and don't ruin not only your life but your career and everything else over,
a parking spot.
A parking spot in a downtown Indianapolis alleyway. So that being said, it's time to pull chalks. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.